Well, hello, and welcome to another lesson of the Content Modeling Weekly course. I am Marcelo, and the Headless Creator. As always, get a hold of me right there, Marcelo at headlesscreator.com. Today, we're going to look at a blog specifically from a site that I use a lot for my hobbies called Adafruit. And we're going to reverse engineer it and create a content model uh, putting all those elements in there. And then this is part one. Part two, we're going to, which will be in a couple of weeks, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take that content model, put it into Contentful, experience it from the authoring point of view, and then run some GraphQL queries. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's go ahead and do this. Let me share my screen here. Here we go. Of course, go to headlesscreator.com, get your free account for those of you that don't have it, okay? Just make sure you do that because you'll get lots of stuff. All right, but we'll jump in and let's start. Here's the blog. This is just, they don't even know I'm doing this. I'm not getting paid for any of this stuff. This is just a site that I use for my hobbies. I use their boards. But anyway, so here's the site. You can see that they have a bunch of blog articles. One thing I do want to show you is actually this is the blog. This one right here is the blog. This one is they basically sell products, and it's important to understand because the way I'm running this lesson here is just the way I run a content modeling session. I analyze the website, and then I talk to the stakeholders in the meeting, right? This is the way you should be running your content modeling session. And then we're going to pretend today that that's what we're doing. We're, speaking with them and going through it. Of course, we're not, and I'm making all the decisions here, but we'll pretend that. But we know that they sell products. So you can see that they have a bunch of products. We're not going to model products today, but it's important because when we go into the actual blog right here, you can see that they have blog articles. Within blog articles, if I click on this blog article, well, this one doesn't, but I'll show you one that does. Let's see, maybe this one here. Yeah, you can see that they highlight within the blog article itself, they have featured products, right? So as you're analyzing this site, you need to start keeping that in mind that, okay, we have blog articles have authors. They have probably categories right here. You have categories. They probably have tags, but they also have feature products, very important. This is all part of the blog article. You can see here other products, related articles. So we have related articles. So as you're analyzing a site, when you have to do a content modeling session, you have to really look at everything, not just, it's a blog and let's just create some articles. So let's start doing that. We'll start simple real quick, right? So we're, my favorite tool, Miro. We'll jump into Miro and let's go ahead and zoom in here. And we're going to start with, we know that we have article, we'll call blog article. And we know that it has a title, a URL, right? And we know that it has a body. We're just going to leave it at that. The title is going to be a short text field, this is going to be a URL field, and this is going to be a rich text field, right? We know that part. So let's do that. We'll keep it like that. Now, if we go back, and this is what you need to do a lot when you're creating content models, you need to go back and forth. So we know that we can put a title already, and then it's got the body, the information in there, right? That's fine. Now, we see, if we go back into the front here, we see that there's an author. So we know we need to have an author content type, right? You don't want to put a field, a text field called author. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to have, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a reference field to author, but I'm going to say authors, and we're going to say one too many to author. Okay, great. Now, we can say, we're going to make this orange because that is the reference field. That's the standard. If you look at my standards here, you can see that there's the reference field. Okay. So this points to an author content type, but here we're going to call it authors. The actual content type, I'm going to call it content creators. And now let me explain, or maybe we'll say contributors. And here's why. in the session, I would run and go, okay, what else do these people do? And we're going to pretend that we have this person here, and she tells me, okay, well, they write blog articles, but sometimes they do tutorials. And other times they host a podcast, let's say. Okay, so they contribute content, not just a blog article. So I'm going to create a content type called contributor, which has, of course, a full name, and then I'm going to break that up. First name, last name, bio, we'll say image for now. We'll just say that. Then the reason I'm doing this is because I'm thinking long term, right? I'm thinking, okay, right now we're migrating this blog we're migrating it into a headless CMS. But instead of calling this content type contributor, once we start migrating the podcast and once we start migrating or creating a tutorial section, we can reuse the contributor because a contributor may be contributing a tutorial, maybe 3 tutorials, 2 blog articles, maybe hosting a podcast. And that way we can say, hey, for this contributor, show me all the content they contributed. And that's why I'm doing that. So in the blog article here, let's make this all that color. Okay, so now a blog article could have a title, URL, body, and could have many authors, at least one author. I mean, obviously we need to have one author at least. Somebody has to write it. Now, other companies may tell you, no, there are times where we just do it kind of anonymously, and then you would make the 0 to many instead of 1 to many. But at this point, a blog article can be written by at least one author, or it could have many authors. Okay, great. So let's continue sort of our analysis. We have a date and time. Now the date and time, you can use the built-in date and time in your headless CMS where we're going to implement it. Usually you have a create date and an update date, right? When you republish it or publish an update. So you can use those. Now, the company may say, you know what? No, I don't want to use those. I need to have a manual date and time because there may be times where we republish it or change it for the future, or I want to put a specific date or change the date manually. So what we could do is we can add here a date, which will be a date time. Okay, we can do that. The other thing we could do is we can say date override true boolean. We'll say boolean. So we can say this, for example, right? So we can, and this will be purple. So they can put a date and time, and then we say, hey, make sure you overwrite it. So on the code, on the channel, it could overwrite it. And if this is false, then it wouldn't overwrite it. We use the system, even if there's a date in there, because you may want to do that. So at least this gives the option. It gives the scalability for the company to be able to control that, right? Okay, so we have the ability, we have the date and time, no problem. We have the author, we have the title. Here in the listing, we also have images, right? So what I would do is I would add some, in this case, I would do media. I would call it thumbnails. And I'm going to do a blog media. And we're going to do here, in this case, I'm going to say type, and then I'm going to say media. And then the type is going to be we're going to call it media type, and it's just going to have a name. That's it. Now, what does this mean, really? I'll explain in just a minute. So we'll do type. This is going to be a reference. And I'm going to say it's going to be a one-to-one to media type. And then media is going to be one-to-one. And this is in other words, only one. We'll say only one, and then we'll make this green. I believe it's that green. Okay. So we know it's a media type. It's this one. Okay. So what did I do here under thumbnails? I'm going to say one to many to blog media. So why am I doing this? Think about it. You may have, we can say media type. We can say it's a thumbnail for the website, a thumbnail for the mobile app, for whatever, right? We can have a thumbnail for VR, let's say. So you can have 3 different thumbnail types that they can select. Then they can add all of them here. So now this blog article, depending on where it's being displayed, which channel, it could pick the right type. And in the media type, we would have entries that says thumbnail dash VR, thumbnail dash whatever. And we can put code ID. And this code ID basically would be something for the developer, right? So they know to pull that information. They know what to do, how to display it, all of that. So we're gonna make this purple like that. Okay, cool. And this, of course, has to be a reference to blog media. This should be orange. Sorry, this would be purple. This is orange here. There we go. Just want to make sure it's all nice. Okay. So we're good. So let's do this so that way it's easy to track. So we got authors, we have thumbnails that go to blog media, and then we have types of media that go to media type. Okay, so you can see how it's starting to grow. Now we could basically recreate this page, but there's a couple of things missing still, but we can recreate most of what's in this page, right? Yeah, pretty much. Well, what's missing here, I believe it's listed here. No, it's not listed in this. We have up here, we have what look like our categories. Because if I click on Circuit Python, for example, I'm going to get all the articles that are under the Circuit Python category. I believe these are categories versus tags. Let's go back to blog and we can look at here, new. Okay, these are the categories. Yeah, so Circuit Python, yeah, these are all categories. They're not tags, they're categories, okay? So that means we need to have, we know articles belong to categories. So we're going to create a category content type. And it's going to have a name. We're just going to keep it simple. Category name. And, well, category, actually a name, and it's going to have sub. We're going to make it one level only. Sub category categories. And actually, to be honest with you, this, we could limit it to only 1 level, but we'll make it 0 to 0. We'll do 0 to 1 to category. Okay. So what this means is that it's recursive, right? So that way you can create a category. For example, if we go here, and here it looks like it's pretty flat. But let's say you have 3D printing, and within 3D printing you have filaments, extrusion, whatever. You may break it up further within there, right? But we're going to keep it pretty flat. Okay, so we have category. So blog article will belong to a category. Now, I bet you, maybe they don't have it like this here, but I bet you that we could have a blog article that belongs to the Raspberry Pi and to robotics, because they talk about both. So I would definitely recommend to the stakeholders in this meeting that we support multiple categories, at least one, but multiple. So we're going to say a blog article belongs to a categories, and we're going to say one to many to category. Now, if you have any questions for those of you watching live, please put them in the chat. I'll try to get to it and answer that for you. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to have my category here. Let's see, let's make this nice so that way it's easy to follow. Okay. Okay, so now a blog article has categories, so we've got this portion here as well. Okay, so we're good on that. Let's go into an article now, right? Let's check out an article right now and see what are we missing. Because on this page, we can definitely go and say, hey, give me all blog articles and display it here, or we can say give me all blog articles for 3D printing and display it here, right? Because we have that information now. Okay, so let's go in. We've got the date. We've got the title. This is part of the body. Now, let's see if they do this everywhere, right? This, if they do it on all of them. Because if they do it on all of them, I may also recommend, hey, since you have a video on all of them, but see, it depends where. So I would encourage them just, and they have multiple videos sometimes. So I would encourage them just to put it in the rich text field, in the body of the rich text field. Okay, but in this case, you can see that here we have filed under 3D printing. So it looks like, and it's also the author, but it looks like they're just using, oh, here we go, file in the 3D printing and cosplay, but they have tags as well. So we need tags now. I thought they didn't have tags, but they do. It's good. Okay. Let's do that. All right. So now it's interesting how I haven't seen how this do it before like that. You know what? Something happened there when we moved it. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know. Sometimes it does this. There we go. Okay, good. So let's go back to here. Let's keep this nice and clean, and let's redo this part. Okay, good. So we know we need to add tags now. And when I do 0 to many to tag, okay? Actually, we're going to enforce, after speaking with the stakeholders, that they actually want one to many. They want at least one tag. So we're going to go ahead and create a content type called tag, which has a name, and that's it. Tags are flat. Usually there's no hierarchy in tags. Categories have hierarchy, okay? So we're good there. So now we have, in this blog article, we can tag it, we can categorize it, we can add many thumbnails. We haven't added other stuff. Now, check this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rename thumbnails to media. Why am I doing that? Because the type will tell us what they are. And we can add other types of media in there, and then the channel can decide which one to use, right? It'll know, but it knows to get all the media through that field. Now, there's an argument for doing that. There's also an argument for doing, calling another one called item other media, which would be, we can make it optional blog media like that, right? And then this could be just thumbnails. So then the developer knows, hey, just go to thumbnails field and pick it and give me that. You can argue both ways, and it really depends on how the authors think about entering content, also how the developers want to work with it. You know, there's a variety of ways to deal with it. Both of them are correct. Neither is wrong. I'm going to go through, and I like this one better. So it's just one field for all media. Okay, cool. And, you know, and this is typical what happens during a content modeling session. You start out with something, but then go, you know what? I'm going to change this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, instead of blog media, I'm going to call this media. Okay. And this will end up going to media. And why did I do that? Because, you know, we have a media. It's got nothing to do with just the blog. It could be media for the podcast, media for the tutorials. So just like contributors, which could be reused in any content, media can be reused in any content as well, right? So we'll do that. We'll leave it like that. And then you can differentiate what kind of media by the media type. You can have a thumbnail web for blog, thumbnail web, you know, and they can pick that type as they're putting it together. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. There's just whatever works best for the developer, for the author. Right? You got to talk to those people and got to make sure that works for them. And it doesn't become too complicated. But I think this looks good right now. We're good on that. Okay, so we have that. We have categories. We have tags. Let's see. And I was just checking to make sure there's no. We have the ability to enter the body, and this is going to be a rich text field. We're not really breaking the blog into other things. I'm going to explain some other stuff pretty soon. But we have products at Adafruit, right? Now, these are just products. But let's see, this one is about uh, comparing 3 levels of finishing a 3D print. And it's showing, I think these are just random products. So a couple of ways that we can handle this. We could, after talking to the stakeholders, they can say, you know what, these, we're just going to randomly put products here. They really have nothing to do with this blog article. We're just going to say, hey, products you might want to check out. We do have related articles here, which are important. And then we